Hello, I'm Anna de Santana, coming to you with our newscast from Humber College. It's Thursday, November 11. Here's what's making news. All across the country, Canadians took part in varied commemorations marking Remembrance Day and honoring our war dead. It's been 2 years since the last in-person celebrations. Those who remain continue to stand on guard despite the loss of life among their ranks. Jose Simard, this year's Silver Cross mother, stands on behalf of a grieving nation and on behalf of her daughter, Corporal Corinne Bless, who was killed serving in Afghanistan in 2009. Also in attendance was the Right Honourable Mary May Simon, Canada's 30th Governor-General and first Inuk person to serve that role. Standing proudly were also members of Canada's Indigenous community. The nation pays its respects to the brave Indigenous soldiers who lost their life defending this country. This year's celebration also marked a significant anniversary for the poppy. The poppy campaign is 100 years old. The tradition of using the iconic red flower as a symbol of remembrance started with a citizen of France, Madame Anne Guerin, who presented the idea to the Great War Veterans Association in 1921.
By wearing a poppy or by dedicating a digital poppy, Canadians demonstrate a collective appreciation and a visible commitment that we will remember them.
The tradition was adopted right after it was proposed, and the poppy was chosen as a symbol after Guerin was inspired by John McCrae's poem, In Flanders Fields. McCrae wrote his well-known poem in late 1915s, after the death of a close friend.
Between the crosses, row on row that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below.
The City of Toronto is commemorating the lost lives of veterans with several activities, including a ceremony at the Old City Hall.
We have gathered here together today because men and women from this city and from across Canada did their duty, and they often did way more than their duty. Because they answered the call, because they left their homes and families behind, and because many of them never returned from that battlefield, it is our duty to remember them, to never forget.
The city is also lining the City of Toronto sign red and adding a poppy in the last O. And closer to us, here at Humber, our reporter Natalie Fasaluk spent time at one of the ceremonies here in Etobicoke. Natalie?
That's right, Anna. We're here at the Etobicoke Civic Center, where many here were pleased to be finally able to commemorate Remembrance Day in person. Remembrance Day in Etobicoke was held under all COVID restrictions and protocols. All spectators were asked to wear masks, keep safe distance, and restrain from any singing of the anthems. But even with the limited number of attendants, they could place the wreaths and honor those who were fighting for Canada.
We as Canadian citizens come together on November the 11th every year to honor our fallen comrades who have paid the ultimate price of freedom, which we enjoy today.
After a minute of silence, honoring speeches, anthems, and laying the wreaths, everyone got a chance to pin their poppy to the wreaths under the monument.
I guess of all things that happened in the past 100 years, we've got to remember who died so that we can survive this 100 years.
After a year of virtual gatherings, everyone here was happy to finally be able to honor the sacrifice of Canadian veterans in person. Natalie Vasilou, Humber News.
Remembrance Day ceremonies took place across the pond, with Britain paying tribute to their soldiers who lost their lives and sacrificed themselves for their country as part of honoring them. After a year of inactivity, the Big Band was reconnected to mark the start of 2 minutes of silence in respect to their soldiers who have lost their lives in war. The bell will strike 11 times on Remembrance Sunday, joining bells from around the country and worldwide. Ceremonies also took place at London's Cenotaph War Memorial Monument, with guards playing bagpipes and wreaths being laid down. In Australia, the Sydney Opera House was illuminating red poppies in honor to the soldiers who had lost their lives. No large-scale events took place due to COVID-19 restrictions, and residents were encouraged to celebrate in small groups from their homes. Ontario has hit the pause button on further lifting capacity limitations in some public spaces. Monday was supposed to see the easing of restrictions, but with infections rising, the province is putting on some brakes. This week saw the highest single-day count of new cases in more than a month, reaching 642 new cases and 5 additional deaths today. The government aim is to move slowly and cautiously with public health measures, so they can monitor any changes and impacts on the community. The increased number of infections was expected with the fall weather.
Mostly in social settings where we take off our mask, where we have close contact as we move indoors in closed spaces, and that's where most of the transmission is occurring. Our schools remain very safe across the province. Our secondary schools especially have had low rates of transmission.
The province continues to encourage everyone to get vaccinated, including signing up for the boost.
We have safe and effective vaccines to protect yourself, your community, and your loved ones. And getting vaccinated will help us to recover much more quickly as a population by having the highest immunization rate we can achieve as a province.
Ontario's goal throughout the pandemic has been to keep hospital emergency rooms from being overwhelmed. China and US have agreed to boost climate cooperation in a surprise announcement during COP26 summit. The world's two biggest CO2 emitters agreed to work together to achieve the 1.5-degree temperature goals set out in the 2015 Paris Agreement. According to China's climate envoy, the declaration was settled after about 30 minutes with the US over the past 10 months. In the area of climate change, there is more agreement between China and the US than divergence, he said, making it an area with huge potential for cooperation. Last week, more than 100 countries except China signed a pledge to reduce methane emissions by at least 30% over the next decade. In a news conference following US climate envoy John Kerry said he was pleased about the agreement between the two countries.
This declaration is a step that we can build on in order to help close the gap. So we have to mitigate faster. We have to cut methane emissions faster. We have to continue to raise ambition. And most of all, we have to take action in order to keep 1.5 degrees centigrade alive.
Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Joe Biden are now expected to hold a virtual meeting next week to discuss further details. That's all for today. I'm Anna DeSantana. Humber News is written and produced by students in the journalism program. For more coverage, visit our website humbernews.ca and follow us on Twitter at HumberJRNL. We'll see you again next time.